One day I'd love to live out in the country on a few acres of land with a massive produce garden, solar panels, a gray water system, a compost setup, a rainwater harvesting system, a small orchard with a few trees, and maybe even chickens. But the reality is right now we live right outside of a major city, Buffalo, New York, and we have close neighbors. We like our neighbors, and where we live right now makes the most sense for us. So until we can build our dream homestead, welcome to our mini urban homestead.
Hi, I'm Maria, and welcome to Living Planet Friendly, where I document my imperfect, low-waste lifestyle.
Our backyard is where the magic happens. I'm going to take you through our current mini urban homestead. We'll chat about what the current situation is and what I'd ideally like to do on our dream homestead. Future Maria, it would be really cool to stitch this video in 10 years showing your dream homestead and where you started. We have a ton of space in our backyard for our new puppy Pepper to run around. We're just kind of letting the clover and random plants take over our grass. I know grass is an issue in a lot of other places because it takes a lot of water to grow, but thankfully here we have some pretty solid rains during the summer. We've never actually watered our lawn. It goes dormant in the winter and comes back every year, so we just kind of let it do its thing. We're leaving this space totally open. We do have a fire pit in our shed that's really nice to pull out when we have people coming over, and it's a really good spot for Pepper to run around. In the back of our yard next to the shed, we have this really large concrete pad. Eventually we'd like to turn this into a really nice little area. The pad is busted and weeds have taken over. Right now my compost tumbler is set up back here. The fence we have right now, the green fence, is in literal shambles. So we're going to replace it with a wood fence. And then once we do, we're going to fix this area up a bit more. We put a Vigo garden bed on the back pad here, and I just threw a bunch of random flower seeds in it. There are a ton back here. I'm hoping to use this as a cut flower garden each year. We do have some lavender in there, and I've got some milkweed growing too. My dream homestead would have a flower garden 4 times the size of this to be able to plant all types of flowers. This whole area is our work in progress. Over the next year, we want to put a rain barrel over here and a gutter on the back of our shed. Ideally, we could have the water go into the rain barrel, lead to a drip irrigation system to water my flower garden bed. Along this entire side of the fence, we'd like to put a Finn native garden with perennials, stuff that will come back every single year, and things like milkweed that can help the pollinators. So we'd like to put it in the next few years just to help draw more pollinators to our gardens. We used to keep the compost tumbler on the side of the garage, but Pepper learned that she can lick the compost water that's coming out of it. So we moved it to the back concrete pad for now, and we have it kind of blocked off with some of our furniture, just because part of me feels like that's not really safe for puppies. And who knows, it might be safe and we might be overreacting, but for now, this is what we're doing. The compost is very wet because we've had a lot of rain here this past week. On my dream homestead, I want a huge compost station with a DIY sifter. Unfortunately, the compost tumbler is really just what only works for us right now. Welcome to my favorite part of the yard, is what I call my kitchen gardens. I grow a lot of staples that we use for cooking and dishes here. I love these metal Vigo garden beds. I love how big they are. I don't ever have critters that try to get up to them or anything because they're waist height, but they are really expensive. Each of these garden beds were $300. I think if I was going to start from scratch here, I would choose something a little cheaper, maybe go with some sort of wood or even just the short Vigo garden beds. Because I only have 2 garden beds for vegetables this year, I really rely on vertical growing space. I'm probably going to have to replace this trellis next year. It is not strong enough to hold loofahs. It's not strong enough to hold what I want it to. I'm honestly just hoping I can make it through this season without it collapsing. We'll see. Our plans for this whole section of the yard is actually to remove the grass and replace it with some sort of stone. It's really hard to get a mower back there or weed whack, and it can get really wet back here. We also want to start some plants along the fence in some giant barrels next to our rain barrel. My dream homestead is to have a gardening space 4 to 5 times the size of this, with several different beds, a small fence around it. There are so many things I want to grow, and I'm really limited with what I can here. I only have so much vertical space with these 2 beds, and in my next garden I want every single bed to have a ton of vertical space, some sort of trellis that I can easily spread everything out. I am growing a heck of a lot in these 2 garden beds. So in this garden bed I've got an eggplant. It is doing so well. It came from one plant and it's really loving this spot. This is my first time growing eggplant, and I'm just baffled with how many eggplants we have in there and how well it's doing. I planted some cucamelon behind it, but it never really took off, which is fine, probably because the eggplant overshadowed it. I have a bunch of sugar snap peas growing. They're at the end of their season though, and I've got several different pepper varieties that are growing. My bell peppers and banana peppers are doing pretty well. I have a few others that are hidden in the back that just have not produced yet, but that's okay. I cannot wait until these are ready to harvest because I absolutely love eating the carrots during the day, but then also turning the tops into pesto. I have a few random garlic and onions plants that are growing throughout the bed. We'll see how they do. And I have a few broccoli plants over here. I missed this one. We were on our honeymoon, so I'm letting it go to seed so then I can harvest the seeds and plant them next year. And here we have my beloved loofah gourds. I messed up this year by dumping my half mature seeds from last year, direct sowing them into the bed, and 33 of them sprouted. I honestly hoped only 1 or 2 would make the cut, so I have quite a few loofah plants that are growing here. They're already out of trellis space, so I'm gonna try to end up moving them over and trying to get them to hang out on the deck railing like I did last year. I have 35 plants, and I do have a few little loofahs that have started growing. I use loofahs in place of plastic loofahs you'd buy for the shower, and I also sell them on my website. They're out of stock right now just because I ran out from last year, but hopefully in November or October I can restock. I had really high hopes for this garden bed, but it really just did not do as well as the other one. I planted a ton of lettuce and kale and spinach seeds, and that kale plant is the only one that popped up, and something is eating them. So starting over there, I've got some more loofah plants. I started those all by seed. I have a ton of garden bean plants. These are some yard-long beans. They are so cool. They are growing so fast. And then in the corner, I have some black bean plants. I have a few beets that are growing, and they're actually gonna be ready to harvest soon. And then the rest of this stuff is all stuff that I've planted like over the last month or so because the lettuce, spinach, and kale just did not take off. So I've got some other heads of lettuce, some broccoli, some basil, some thyme, some other random herbs, some green onions. My plan is to add a lot more soil and compost to this garden, so hopefully it will do a little bit better next year, but we'll see. Like I said before, my dream homestead is to have a huge gardening space because I want to grow so much more. My rain barrel is connected to the downspout, so it goes right from our gutter to the downspout and into the barrel. That's what I use to water my gardens. I just put a watering can underneath it, and then I can use the water on any of my gardens. My dream homestead will have some sort of irrigation system set up to auto water using rainwater. So 2 gardens is the maximum of what I want to do here, so I've been utilizing my deck to grow more things. I did a strawberry tower this year. They really just did not do that great. I cannot get them to grow anymore. They're very tiny. And of course, I've got a bee house for any pollinators that need a hotel overnight. I have a ton of potatoes that are growing in these grow bags. They're doing pretty well this year. I've gotten a little bit of a harvest, and it's definitely something I will be planting every year. They are so easy. In these pots over here, I've got 3 tomato plants. We've had a really weird growing season, but I'd love to grow more varieties of tomatoes, so more gardening space is definitely ideal. I've got a small pot of dill. In the bottom of each of the tomato plants, I've got some different varieties of basil growing. My pepper plant that's in the pot is not doing well, but that's okay. My dill in a pot did really well, but it did bolt very fast. So I'm letting it go to seed, and I'm going to dehydrate it and get the seeds for next year. Last year, my deck pots were doing so well, and I had so many tomatoes that were growing. So I really just think it's been an off year because none of my deck pots have been doing well at all. That's a tomato plant. It's not doing anything. Then I also have a little herb tower back here. Same thing, it's really just not growing that well in those little containers. We also have this absolutely massive amaranth plant that just kind of came up out of nowhere, so it's just kind of vibing. It's officially taller than I am. And this is either a loofah or pumpkin. It was doing really well, and then Pepper came by and bit the end of it off. One day I hope to not have to grow in pots at all and have plenty of garden ground space. But for now, I'm planting vertically as much as I can and using as many pots as I can to grow as many different varieties of things for my kitchen garden. Now, Some people say no homestead is complete without chickens. I would love to have a couple chickens to get eggs from and to use as like a garbage disposal compost bin. But in my town, you can't have them legally, so I have to wait until I move to a different town to get them. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Or if you have any comments or ideas on how I can make my mini urban homestead better, let me know. As always, subscribe to my channel. Check out my other platforms on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest. Happy homesteading and see you next time.